So let's talk about projection in business, because this is part and parcel for the course. And as an entrepreneur who is showing up and sharing your truth and speaking into what's alive for you, one of the things you will notice if you're doing content the right way, and I hate that binary right way, wrong way, but in a way where you're fully bringing the truth of who you are to the table. And I often talk about this with marketing, with magnetism, that it takes dialing up who you are and fully owning your unique expression and becoming aware of all of the ways that you round off the edges and dim your light to become palatable to others. And when none of that is there, when you're showing up in a way where you're fully owning your own authentic truth, your content will be polarizing. And the truth is, people talk about polarizing as like a strategy. I was on a podcast interview the other day and someone was like, what do you think about being polarizing? And like, what's the whole strategy there? And I was like, I don't actually even see this as a strategy. It's not something to intentionally do as a, like, I'm trying to be polarizing, but more so you are just naturally polarizing when you are being fully, authentically, radiantly you. And when you do this, when you have the courage to be fully, authentically, radiantly you in your content is going to turn a lot of people off. I just got off the phone with my beautiful mom, amazing woman who I love deeply. And we had a really beautiful conversation about a lot of the things that were coming up for her around seeing my content on social media. And she was like, Jason, why do you talk about like 6 figures, 7 figures, like all this money stuff? Like, I feel like I have a lot of like feelings about that. And I feel like, I don't know, some of the stuff that you post, I'm just kind of uncomfortable with. And we had this really beautiful conversation where she was able to express honestly and authentically. And for me, because I've walked this path for long enough, like I really feel like I used to be defensive, and I still have a little bit of that. But there's a part of me in this moment, like, where I'm just like, wow, like, how interesting. I can fully rest in my own truth. I can fully rest in this experience of like, what I'm sharing is so deeply, fully alive and authentic and congruent for me. And I love that my mom has like opinions and perspectives about that. And I honor her reality and her frame and her model of the world. And I don't have to contort myself into a box so that this person feels okay about what I'm sharing. And what was so beautiful about our conversation was like, she was able to authentically share what was alive for her. I share what was alive for me. And I was like, Mom, I love you. Like, I love that you have all these feelings. Like, I want you to keep sharing them with me. And I just want you to know that like, I'm going to keep doing what is aligned for me. And it's beautiful to have that realization of like, it is okay for other people to have lots of opinions about me. So many times it's like we walk around in life, it's like we spend all of our time trying to contort ourselves into this box so that we'll be accepted and loved by everyone. And it is a recipe for failure in content. The more you try to contort yourself into a box, the more you dilute the magnetism and the potency of what you're sharing, your own authentic embodied truth and expression. And it takes the courage to be fully, openly you, which means you will trigger people. You will have people who write mean comments on your posts. You will have people who unfollow you and unsubscribe. And that is a beautiful thing. If you are not getting those messages, if you aren't having conversations with your family, they're like, what are you posting? I'm feeling kind of uncomfortable about this. Chances are there's a part of you that's still holding back. There's a part of you that is not fully owning your own truth. What would you share if you weren't afraid that some people would be turned off? What would you say if you weren't worried about what other people would think? If you were just speaking from your own authentic truth? For so many years, I was afraid to talk about being spiritual. And then when I started talking about being spiritual, I was like, well, I'm spiritual. That's all I said. But I didn't talk about like the nuances of being spiritual, because I realized when I talked about that there'd be some like hardcore like Christians who were like very like kind of more like fundamentalist in their views. They'd be like, oh, Jason's more like into this like new age type like consciousness stuff where he's like, I love Jesus, but I also like think Jesus is one of like beautiful, many beautiful people who have become like fully realized beings. And I see the journey of spirituality more as this journey back to myself and less as this like organized religion. And I was afraid of talking about that because I was like, oh, if I talk about that, then like certain people are going to be turned off by that, right? So it's like, as I've become more comfortable sharing the full expression of my spirituality, and this is just one example of what this looks like in my content, the right people have become so much more magnetized to what I share. It's like I become so much more of a powerful magnet, a lighthouse. We talk about this in marketing. Sometimes I talk about the difference between being a lighthouse and a tugboat. It's like when you don't have magnetism, you got to be the tugboat, which is like pulling people along to work with you. You gotta like send a million cold DMs to try to like get people into your sales pipeline. And it's like you're pushing and pushing and pushing because you don't have this powerful magnetic attractive force in your business that draws other people in. But when you have the courage to be who you really are, and to stop whitewashing your truth and stop rounding off the edges and trying to be palatable for, your family and, to avoid the uncomfortable conversation that you're going to have with your mom where she's like, I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, man, it's so liberating. It's so freaking liberating to just be you. And also, paradoxically, it makes you so much more attractive and magnetic, and it makes marketing 1,000 times easier. If you've watched my Resonance Masterclass, this is a big piece of what we talk about in that masterclass, right? Dialing up who you really are. This is also a big part of the work that we're doing inside the collective, my membership community for soul-led entrepreneurs who are ready to step into this new way of doing business where marketing becomes magnetism, where you learn how to attract clients instead of push them into your world, where you learn how to dismantle the layers of performance, of fear, that are holding you back from being so radiantly, unapologetically you that when the right people see you, they go, you are the one. That is what happens when you have these keys in place. We're going live once a week for transmission calls where you're going to drop into a community, trainings, led by me, where I'm like sharing what's alive for me and just inviting you into a whole new model of business and marketing. You're getting coaching, personal mentorship from me, in a group setting on your content, your business strategy, an incredible community of people who are on this journey with you, walking this new path of business together. I'd love to invite you to join me inside. If you enjoyed this, the collective is like 1,000 times more. It's just such an incredible space. There's a link down below if you want to join us. And I hope this helped you today. And I hope this gives you the courage to just like trust your own truth and to know that you being fully who you are, that is the greatest gift. That is the greatest gift that you have to the world. You are not an accident. God did not mess up when he created you with all of your quirks and all of like the crazy things that you think nobody else can understand and all of the things that you're afraid that if you said like people would be turned off, that actually that is the source of your greatest magnetism, of your greatest gift in the world, of the greatest service that you have is you bringing the fullness of you, who you are into the world.